Hello, you have reached the seventh circle of hell. How may I help you?
Yeah, I'm looking for a present for my ex.
We have the best flesh-eating bacteria.
Ooh. Does
Amoebic
it,
dysentery?
does it come in a travel size?
Oh my God. I have been up since 4:45 this morning. I am headed home and I still fucking have one gift to buy.
Oh.
And I have no idea. No idea.
Uh, is it
So
it's not one of your kids though, right?
no,
Okay.
no. If it was a kid, I would just buy something that I liked, that I wanted to play, a board game or something, or a
You
movie that I wanted to watch.
are you one of those?
I usually try not to be, but I inherited that from my father. He's all about, oh, I found this really great, awesome gadget. Surely I know somebody who needs this. Whereas I'm more blatantly like, here's this thing that I think will be wonderful. Share it with me.
Oh my gosh. So
Yeah.
my mom was horrible that way, and I have a older sister who inherited that from mom, it's the thing of let me give everybody in the family the thing that I want to have.
Yeah, that's my dad. It's weird how the narcissism just does
Oh my gosh.
translate. But yeah, it is really like, I think there was one year where he fell in love with this knife sharpener.
Yeah.
And okay, granted, it's a really nice knife sharpener.
Okay.
It is, but I didn't take it out of the box for 5 years because I didn't ask for a knife sharpener. I didn't want it. I didn't need it. I was looking for stuff to put in the yard sale, and I was like, well, I'll give this thing a try. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's pretty nifty. But like, I'll tell you what I never used. One year he decided everybody needed an electric knife, an
Oh.
electric carving knife.
We
Yeah,
used to we
that one.
had one of those like 30 years ago.
Yeah, I know. My grandma had one too, and then they came back. I think Alton Brown did a thing, and yeah, and so my dad got
You use it
everything.
once a year at most. And it's not like turkey's hard to cut.
Well, no, and that was the thing, is like he used it all the time,
Oh,
but it was
like
a
to
pain in
cut
the ass to
sandwiches?
clean. Well, I mean, they just eat a lot of meat. But I used it once, maybe at their place, and I was like, oh, this is a pain in the ass to clean. And if you have a sharp knife, what's the frickin' point? Which now that I have a knife sharpener, I have a sharp knife. But
Yeah. What a difference that
yeah,
makes.
right. Well, and but that's like his 1 out of 10 that was a hit.
Uh,
You know,
but you
all
didn't
the
know it
others
for
are
five
misses.
years.
Right, right. That I still was like, that's not gonna work. I mean, I have, and he always, the other one that they got me that was actually a really good one was when our first child was born, shortly, like within a month after both mine and my ex's birthdays, and they got us a TiVo, and that
Oh,
was freaking amazing with a new baby to be like, the baby's
yeah.
crying,
Yeah.
pause the show.
Oh, yeah.
So
I did
occasionally he has
TiVo for
hits.
a long time, but I stopped a couple of years ago. Oh yeah, when I cut cable off. That's why.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say all the cable companies started having their own DVRs, but yeah, no. So he'll have the occasional thing where it's like, okay, yeah, that is actually a useful thing. For every one of those, there's the super cool remote controlled car that it was like, why do I need that? And by the way, I made a list. So what the
Yeah,
hell?
right,
I made a list at your request,
right.
even,
That you
just so you
completely
could ignore it.
ignored. Yeah.
Yes.
So a couple of years ago, my oldest sister sent out a mass text message about, what's the I want to get a hold of all these old family pictures and what's going to be the best way to get them printed out and sent to all my kids, like a whole book full of these things.
Yeah.
And I started asking her questions about what her intention was. Well, she says it's for Christmas. And I said,
Mm.
your kids probably don't want printed copies. And she goes, but I do.
Like, do they even know who these people are? Oh, but there's the key. Yes,
Yeah,
hi.
but I
Like, this is one.
do. I want
And
printed copies, so I want to give everybody else printed copies. It's like
and
they don't want to just put it on a fucking website.
well, and
And
why not just buy yourself
yeah,
the thing? Like, why do we do that? Why do we have to get it for somebody else and not just say, I would like a photo album
is
of
that
all of
some
these little
kind of
family photos?
validation, self val? It's if
I
if
don't know.
i I like something and I need you to like it too to prove to me that I have good judgment. Is that
Well, that's
right?
absolutely what it is with the narcissist. I mean, yeah. I mean, with my dad, it's very much a case of this is a thing that I think is valuable, and I assume that you will too, and then you'll validate me, and
Mm,
and then I'll feel like we have a connection because we both think that this material thing is
yeah,
valuable.
yeah.
um,
And
but
that's
I
that's the
don't.
thing with narcissists. And the
Yeah.
way I described it years ago about my mother is that she loved things and used people.
Yes. Yeah. That's a very succinct way of putting it. But I'm curious about. I don't know if your sister has a diagnosis, but I'm curious
If she
about
does,
this.
she's keeping it to herself.
Oh, spoil sport. Um, but that's curious to me because the difference between the person who wants the validation versus the person who wants it for themselves, but for some reason thinks they can't or shouldn't just do it for themselves. Like
Hmm.
if you want an electric knife, just buy yourself an electric knife. Don't buy me one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and so I don't.
I'm
I
not.
wonder if
I'm
it's
not.
two
I'm not.
different things. Maybe
Yeah, I think so. I'm not so familiar with that second one.
it's.
I no, really.
Yeah.
I don't have much experience with that idea of I'm going to justify getting it for me by also getting it for you. Although,
Yeah.
um,
Or
uh,
getting it for you instead of. Did your sister get
oh,
copies for her? Did she get this herself the same thing that
you know what?
she got for
She
her?
never talked to me about it after
Oh, I wonder why. How strange.
that.
Hmm.
It worked
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, it worked out well for you. You didn't have to hear that shit anymore.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
they don't want fucking printed copies. They wanted if you want to show them the pictures, send them to the damn website. Make a slideshow if you want.
Yeah, let them sit there and do it in the privacy of their own homes and
Right,
just and not
and
have to
there's
take room on the
nothing to
shelves,
and there's nothing to throw away.
right? No extra trash for the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't. But although, I mean, what do you do? It's such a hard time. I have a sister-in-law. Okay, so all right. So my dad, one of his many unfinished projects is that he created this website where our family can go and we can have our little family. It's almost like Facebook, but just for a private group. And it's set up where you can store recipes and you can like put stuff up, like whether it's family heirlooms or things you don't want anymore, but maybe somebody else would. And
Oh,
one of the
that's
functions on there is a
that's
gift
not a
list.
bad idea though, that
I
part.
know. Yeah, no, it's actually really cool.
The family
And
the
shared
family
photo albums.
Craigslist.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. And shared family photo albums and recipe stuff. But the gift list. So like that's a thing in our family is go update your gift list on the website, and so I'll go and do it. So I have a sister-in-law. There's nothing on her list,
Oh.
and literally, and she and my brother are they're my favorites. Don't tell anybody. But they like they have everything. They don't have kids. They've got
Mm,
plenty of money.
yeah.
They go where they want to go. Like what do the people need? And I was at a loss. And finally, it was just like, well, gosh, that's a really gorgeous bracelet, and it looks like her style. I know she doesn't need it, but I guess I'll get that. And I don't want it
There
to
you
be
go.
impersonal, but at the
No,
same time, it's like,
I
will she actually
disagree.
get more use out of a $35 Amazon card than she's
No,
going to get out of this bracelet?
here's my take on that. Gift. gift lists are very handy, but there's also something about knowing somebody well enough to recognize something that they would appreciate.
Yeah, but what about when you're wrong? And then that person goes, "Oh, you don't know me at all."
Well, that's
I mean,
kind of
because that happens with our kids sometimes, where we think, "Oh, that'll be a nifty thing they really like." Like this year, we were going to get tickets to an unschooling conference that they've
uh-huh.
talked about wanting to go to for years.
Yeah.
And we were like, "Oh, okay, well, we're going to do that. We're going to get the tickets." And I, like, in passing, mentioned the conference to one of my kids, and he was like, "Oh, I don't want to do that anymore. Hell no, no, please, God, save me."
Oh
And I was like,
my.
"What?
Well, good thing you
Okay."
found out.
Uh-huh. But it was like here was this thing we thought was going to be a great, wonderful,
Yeah.
wow, we're finally doing it. And turns out they would have been so disappointed.
Yeah,
So
well,
you
yeah,
take a
and
risk.
it's true with kids because, every year is different things for them,
Yeah.
right?
Oh my
But
gosh.
then you have people like my ex-father-in-law, who's a really terrific guy, by the way, and I still like him a lot. Um, but or say my dad is even worse. My dad doesn't do well. Granted, now he's got bad dementia and like 94, and so. But
Sure.
even like 30 years ago,
Yeah.
40 years ago, it's like, what do you get for dad? He doesn't do anything. He doesn't
Right. No
like
hobbies or
anything. He
whatever.
does, it's like exists, and that's about it. So what do you get
Yeah.
for him?
Right. Yeah, if they're not a reader and they're not a gardener and they don't,
Yeah.
yeah, it is
Um, um,
oh.
he was like the hardest person ever.
Mhm.
But at the same time, he appreciated everything.
Oh, well, that's handy
You
because I
know,
was going to say,
he,
like, that takes me off into all other kinds of questions because I'm so curious.
no,
But he was
he was always very well.
was he a
He,
happy guy?
that's an interesting question.
How long are we going to make this show? Ah,
um, I
curious.
I don't know. I don't know that he's been happy very much in his life.
Yeah.
Um, he is a he is a very gentle soul, a very kind person, and um, when his sisters said he never ever, and this is like growing up, never once got in trouble for anything.
How interesting.
Yeah.
My mother's story is very similar. My mother was the good girl in her family, and she, like, my grandmother would tell the story about how she had to spank the older two, but she never had to spank my mother. And the one time that my grandfather, who was also a very kind man, the one time that he got angry and, like, actually yelled at my mother, the look on her face of just betrayal and being so crushed and miserable, like, she, you couldn't look sideways at her that she didn't feel guilty. And she was, but it's the same thing, like,
Mm.
she always put, a face on of being content and happy, but I don't know that she ever was really, like, you know
Well, yeah, I don't know how it would have been possible for my dad to really be happy because, um, so he was next to the youngest, um, in a family. His mother gave birth to 14 kids.
yeah.
Um, Only 8 of those reached adulthood, and then one of them died in the war. This was World War II for you kiddies listening at home.
Yeah.
And so, and a lot of those young kids who died in some first year,
Infancy or
some
yeah.
fourth year, some sixth year from diseases and
Wow.
stuff. Scarlet fever,
Yeah.
whooping cough, all those kinds of things that we don't think about anymore. Um, so there was a very large age gap between him and the oldest oldest adult siblings,
Yeah.
and he was the observer,
Yeah.
and he watched his older sisters and brothers tangle with his dad and mom,
Yep.
and he wanted no part of that.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, his older sisters were firebrands, every
Mm,
one of them, just
my mom's older sisters.
iron,
Yeah.
iron on fire.
Yes. My mother's older sisters, my aunts, the oldest one ran away at 16 to get married, and the
Hmm.
second one ran away at 14 to get married.
Yeah.
And
To,
my mom was just like, okay, that didn't go well. I'm going to not do that.
yeah, they tangled, because Grandpa was just obsidian. He was just rock hard,
Wow, that
uh,
was my grandmother. Huh.
and it's flint and steel between him and the older kids.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? Huh.
And my dad wanted none of it.
It's no guarantee when you have kids that you are going to get along with them in any fashion.
No, it's not a
Like,
guarantee. I mean, and the thing that you know, we consciously or unconsciously take credit for when the kids turn out great, but
right?
so much of that is not in our control at
Nothing to
all.
do with us. Not even a bit. They have their experience is so different from
Well,
what we think it is because
and
we see it from our side.
their bedrock psychology and personality that
Yeah.
they are born with,
Mhm.
that's you're not fucking with that.
No.
It's just
No, they're
there from day
yeah.
one.
Yeah. It's funny. My second child, my second son is all right, so I had, three babies and uh two of my births, the first and third one were about 5 hours, start to finish.
What?
His, yeah, his was, which still is, it still wasn't that long, but it was 15 hours.
Okay.
And
Yeah, that's not
he
bad.
has, no, really, I mean, like, it's pretty easy, actually, pretty standard. But he has always been from that day, like, his birth took longer, and he didn't start breathing right away, but he was just looking at us like, what the hell did y'all do to me? And like, but ever since then, like ever since his birth, I have been able to tell people if we are out in public and you see four of us and then one of us trailing like 20 feet back, that's my middle kid. He has always moved at his own speed, and like even in preschool, his teacher would be like, catch up, and he'd be like, I'm going the fastest I can.
Yeah.
That was just, he just moves at his speed, and he always has, and he does not mind being separate from the rest of us, and just that's, yeah, from the day he was born. And he's been a funny kid from the time he was a year old. Whereas my older one like struggled to figure out what humor was. The second one has always gotten it, like just
Yeah.
right from the beginning. And he's still the one who can make us all laugh. His sister was having a crying fit the other day. She was feeling emotional and she broke a toy, and they like she hadn't done that in a long time, but she just fell out. And he like waited a little while and was really sweet. And then as she started to calm down, he decided he was going to try to make her laugh. And he said, "Would you like to start a fascist dictatorship with me?" And then I know, and it's like, what the hell is
Where
he
did
saying?
that come from?
But that's just, and he just, I mean, he always has been that kid. Whereas my first one is super anxious, and when he was 12 months old, I pulled out a camera and I took a picture of him, and the flash went off, and he started to cry. And like, they just always happen. They are who they are.
What
But
I remember those parent teacher conferences very much like your middle child, where he does good work, but he needs to go faster. It's like,
well, and part of the reason, like, we started homeschooling because my first child was just flat not socially ready for school.
hmm.
And so we homeschooled as a service to him. And then the second one, like, I realized as he was in preschool and stuff that he was going to be a teacher's worst nightmare. not because he would necessarily like try to cause trouble, but because he just didn't give a shit.
Ah,
He lets it all roll off, and he has no respect for authority. He's very much like my older brother in that way. And it's like he wouldn't mean anything mean by it. He just has better things to do than listen to grown-ups.
yeah.
So and that too was from very early on. I think I've told you this story of him at 18 months old where he and his brother were fighting over something, and so I put it up high on top of the bookshelves, and I walked away and went to go do something, and then I heard "Er,
18 months?
and it was him dragging a kitchen chair across the floor to
Yeah,
the bookshelves because he had a plan. He had like a couple of boxes. He was going to stack shit up and get that thing.
yeah.
But he very calmly had waited and watched me as I walked out of the room. Like, yeah, you do your thing, lady. Go ahead, go on.
Yeah.
Okay, out of sight. Good, time to do it. He just he has a plan, and he has always just waited until everybody sat the hell down, and he has gotten on with his plan.
My
So,
oldest daughter um, is one of these. Um, she's maybe a bit of a type A,
yeah,
um, um, but not in a bulldozer sense. She has a finesse to her.
yeah.
Um, a but so I want to give you two bookend anecdotes about her. Maybe I should start with the youngest one. So
Okay.
actually two. So the first one of the things that she taught me as my first child, and when she could still in diapers, couldn't walk, still crawling, and she wanted dog food.
As they so often do.
Well, it's salty and it's not probably not
Crunchy.
yeah, and if you don't have any taste buds anyway, what the hell, right? And so she started crawling across the kitchen floor to the dog bowl because we left food out and the dog would just nibble on it whenever she wanted. She wasn't one of these, I'll eat whatever, anything you put down. Anyway, so
Yeah.
so I picked her up, moved her away, and then she started crawling right back to it, and then I patted her a little bit on her diaper bum, and that didn't do anything, and so she
No.
went right back to it, and I whacked her a little bit harder, and she started crying, woo! And so she's bawling her head off, tears running down, and she goes right the fuck back
Right
to
back
that
to
bone.
there.
and I
And that's
and
the
that
thing.
was such a beautiful moment for me because it allowed me to see, oh shit, spankings are just not gonna cut it with this chick.
Well, no, yeah, I mean,
I have to figure out something else because she won't care. She clearly does not care. She's going
well,
after what she wants, and giving her a spanking might make her cry, but it is not going to stop her.
no, it's just gonna break your connection with her.
Right.
But it's, I mean, it's true that I love it because I was able to see with my first child the same thing of like, oh, wow, okay, their drive to get their needs filled
Mhm.
is such that whatever that need is, whether it is, connection with a person when they're an infant or their need for exploration and
Mhm.
to learn about the world or whatever, is such that in order to quell that for your own comfort, you have to break your child.
Yeah. Well, that's a
And
great
I
way to
was,
put it.
yeah, and I wasn't willing to break them.
I
I've been
I
broken. I didn't want to do it.
I tried so hard. So when she was when s- she I'm not going to say her when she was about 4,
Uh huh.
not in kindergarten yet. We had her in
I
it.
just have to tell you before you even get going. I don't know where this story is, but all three of my children, 4 is my demon age. That is the age. I love my children, but
Oh,
all three of them
4.
almost died by my hand at 4 because those little boogers, they pretend that they have logic, but they do
Oh,
not. So you go ahead and
my
get that
girls are
info.
so adorable at 4 years old. Just
Oh, they're adorable. That's why they didn't die.
ah. Evolution got that part right.
Planned it. Yes, planned it that way. Whew. All
Um,
right, go ahead.
so they were in daycare that was run by a family that we knew, and they had kids that were all significantly older than her. They were all in school, grade
Yeah.
school, various grades. I think she had three or four kids. I think the oldest was like almost 12.
Okay.
And we picked the girls up one day, strapped them in, and in the back seat we hear this, and our oldest is just bawling her eyes out, and we're like, "Oh my God, what the heck?"
Yeah.
And we said, "What happened, Summer?" Oh, what is the matter? She tries to calm herself. The kids, meaning the family
Yeah.
kids, the kids told me I'm not in charge.
Yeah.
It just broke her heart. These older kids telling her
Yeah.
that
That
she's
she
not.
wasn't in charge of them. How dare they? The injustice.
Oh my
I
God.
love that though. That's my third. That's my daughter right there.
And
I realized.
we're in the
Whew.
front seat of the car trying not to laugh out loud. We're just
At their pain. I
I
know. It's
know,
so
but
hard.
it's just so hilarious. It's so her.
Oh God. Yes, absolutely.
But she
I
was
realized today when we were watching the Muppet Christmas Carol how much I had modeled myself after Miss Piggy as a child and how much and there was a lot of I really got really good at hi and sock her in the gut.
yeah.
But I realized today when I was watching that I was like, "Oh my God, my daughter is Miss Piggy come to life." Like that little girl, she does not suffer shit from anyone,
Yeah.
least of all people bigger than her. Actually, she does suffer shit from people smaller than her, although she'll move away as quickly as she can. But people bigger than her, oh, it's on. She will come after you. Like her, my daughter is 10. She just turned 10. Her 15-year-old brother, if she is angry at him, he will run away like as fast as he can because she is coming after you. And like, when you're little, you just use whatever weapon you got. So, the fingernails are coming out and you like shit's going down. So,
Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Women are the gentler, peaceful, kumbaya, let's all get along gender, right? That's what I've been told.
don't even
I
act
try.
like you don't have plenty of evidence to contradict what you've been told already.
I love that silent gap there. That was perfect.
Well, and the thing is like, well, yeah, she is all that too. Like, she's super sweet and wonderful, and she'll on the day that I told them that my mom was dying,
Mhm.
my daughter, who's losing her grandmother, makes me a little picture that says, "I love you. I hope you feel better." So
Aw.
she is. She's all of that stuff too. She's so generous and empathetic and sweet, but
It's
she is a fierce motherfucker, and I love her for it.
it seems to
We're
me
walking.
that
What?
females are kind of binary in that sense, in that they're all, let's all be loving and get along and let's not cause any trouble, and then the switch flips and it's like kill everybody. And there's not a lot of middle ground.
What's your question?
No, it's just an observation.
I mean, part of me is like, well, I mean, to me, men sort of have that too. There's the playful goofy, and then they'll literally go kill every motherfucker in the place. So, but
Yeah.
yeah. No, anyway, okay, so but how did we get, we got way too far off the topic of gift giving, and I'm bringing us back with
Thank
a
you.
story, a
So your
story of,
sister-in-law, you got her a bracelet.
yeah, no, but this is a different story. Moving on, catch up.
Okay.
Um, so this is one of my pet peeve gift giving things.
Oh.
My aunts, when my last cousin moved out and went off to college,
Mm-hmm.
My uncle, for her next birthday, got her a dog. And not just any dog. Not
Hmm.
just any dog.
Yeah.
He got her.
So they're in their 40s, 50s,
Yeah, 40s.
60s. Okay.
40s, I think mid 40s.
Okay.
Um, and he got her a border collie.
Oh.
And he didn't know anything about border collies. They was just
Well,
cute
clearly.
dogs. So he got, yeah, 'cause nobody gets one of those things willingly. But no, so he got her a border
That's a
collie.
kind of dog you need to get deliberately, not
That's a
not
dog you need to
accidentally.
prep. Like you have to dog proof the house before you get a border collie. But he got her a border collie and a book on border collies. And
Maybe
she
he
told
should have got the book first.
book first, yes. One would consider. But so all she just kept telling everybody about the passage in the book that she knew she was in trouble when she read that border collies need a lot of exercise. In fact, one good tactic is to take a drive with your border collie out to the country, let them out of the car, and then they chase it home. And she just looked at him and was like, "What did you do?" So but that's the thing, like, right, you see this stuff every Easter about don't get your kids bunnies and chicks, don't
Yeah.
get your, kids puppies and kittens for Christmas if that's not something they want. Like, what
Y-
possesses people
Oh,
to
cu-
give something that
cuteness,
requires such care? A
cuteness.
plant, fine, nobody's going to worry if a plant dies, but
Let me tell you how bad that. So very close to where I used to live last year or earlier this year, there was the Eddie Bauer headquarters, and
okay.
near which was near a freeway, and for reasons that I don't think anybody knows, um, people started dumping their Easter bunnies out near the Eddie Bauer headquarters. Between the headquarters and the freeway, there was this
Huh.
big patch of grass.
Right.
And, bunnies tend to spawn like, rabbits. and
Second only to cockroaches, yeah.
and you could drive at certain times of the day and see literally hundreds of rabbits covering this hillside along the
Oh my
freeway.
gosh. I mean, you
It
could like destroy an ecosystem.
it took it took um so one of the local farm animal rescue organizations,
Yeah,
and they're not even all that local, they're way up north. uh,
yeah,
they had to the local government had to give them some money, and they rounded them all up and hauled them up there and had them all neutered, and they lived out their lives on their farmland. But it was
right.
hundreds of rabbits,
Yeah,
and they were clearly the domesticated kind because they
yes,
were black and white or brown, or
right,
not, they were not
yes,
the wild bunnies like I used to have at my old house.
right.
um, so people do that kind of stuff and give puppies.
I
Although,
mean, that's like 15 to 20 years you've just committed that person to.
yes, and one of it's yeah. A,
And
um,
veterinary bills and food bills.
oh yeah. And
You
here's
know?
and insanity if you pick the wrong kind of dog.
Yeah, I mean, potentially you've just given them a dog that now they may have to rehome,
Right.
or if they can't rehome, abandon to be
Yeah.
killed.
Yeah.
Oh, which,
So
man,
I love dogs to death, but oh my
but
gosh, you gotta match the one of the I this just occurred to me that one of the reasons I think that people and their dogs look alike is because if you pick the right breed for you,
yeah,
it might look like you a little bit.
yeah, right? Like maybe that's part of the reason you like that breed or whatever.
If you're a triathlete, you're not going to do so well with a basset hound.
Right. On the
Right?
other hand, a basset hound is very nearly my ideal. But
um,
if somebody is not prepared, then just get him a fucking garden gnome, you know?
A garden gnome.
A garden gnome.
Do you like those?
I don't have, I kind of do.
Oh my God.
I really like
I
they
never I
do.
never really got the whole garden gnome concept. I mean, they're okay, gnomes, and they're made out of what,
You know
plaster or
what it is? It's
ceramic or
just,
something?
it's that they're portly. I like,
They're the right shape for you.
you know, I like things that are, short and squat and low to the ground like me. That's why my truly favorite dog breed is a corgi. Because how can you be sad walking behind a little corgi's wiggly butt? But a garden gnome, you don't have to feed, and they don't
Mm.
poop. And you might have to bring them inside if it gets really old,
All
so
right,
they don't
so
freeze.
here's the question.
Okay.
If you could be reincarnated as a corgi or a garden gnome, which would you pick?
Oh, okay. So specifically a corgi, not just any dog, but
Well,
specifically a corgi.
because that's the kind of dog that you're, you know,
Okay. Well, because I have to
closer.
say my answer might vary. Because if it was any dog, I mean, some dogs don't have very good people,
Yeah.
and
Well, that's true.
so like
You don't know where you're going to end up, do you?
right. But corgis are not. They're not frequently used as fighting dogs.
That would be a bad choice.
Right? Yeah, right. Like nobody's gonna bet on the corgi.
Ah.
Yeah, I'm not like they're gonna bark you to death, but bite your ankles a little bit. But so if I'm a corgi, then I might come back as a corgi rather than garden gnome. But pretty much any other breed of dog, I no. If you're a dog, you have to deal with people. Garden
But
gnome,
dogs
garden gnome, garden gnome. Final
love
answer,
people.
garden gnome.
Why?
I think you're making assumptions about the power of my personality. I think I
Oh,
would be the dog that
that's
would be
right.
like,
That's right. You're a biter.
I was gonna say, knowing my personality, I'd come back as a fucking chihuahua, man, and that's not cool.
No.
Garden gnome, final answer. What about you?
Oh. So my breed of choice is the
Yeah.
Doberman.
Oh, you're taking a risk.
Tell me.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I mean, Dobies they get some tough jobs too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
it's not as risky maybe as a greyhound or a pit bull, but
yeah, they're not the so back in the 80s they were a lot more popular than they are now.
yeah, they were super fashionable back then. Yeah,
Yeah. Um, but oh my God, they're so beautiful and strong and their
yeah.
endurance is like endless, believe me.
Yeah, yeah. That's not my dog. No, no. They're a little too springy for me.
Oh my gosh.
Hmm.
And they are stubborn as all get out. Oh my gosh. You have to win that battle because let me tell you, the last thing you
Early.
want is a Doberman running your house.
Yeah,
And if you don't,
yeah.
they will.
Oh, absolutely. If you're not gonna fill the vacuum, I will, human.
Yep,
There we go.
yep.
Yeah,
And you won't like that
yeah.
because
No,
they
no.
are, after all, German.
I They'll rule you with an iron fist. Yeah,
Yep.
no, I need a dog that's like, I'm just happy to be here, and if you would please be in charge of me, then
I, I
we'll
was
get along fine.
I was at the dog park years ago, and there was a man with a pair of Irish setters, and they were so beautiful,
Wow, they
so
are
beautiful,
beautiful dogs.
gorgeous dogs. And I had
But
to
they
go up and
impress me
talk.
as being much smarter than me.
No.
Oh, are they dumb as bricks?
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Pretty and stupid. Okay.
I went and I had to go talk to the guy because you don't see him very often. And
No, true.
he says, oh yeah. I said, man, those are beautiful dogs. He says, yeah, but they're like dumb as a post. They'll just run and forget where they are.
kind of dog I need. I need a dog that it doesn't occur to them to try to outsmart me. Because there are days I'm so tired. It's like, oh God, you win. It's just, there's some breeds like I know I'm not allowed to have a chow.
Oh,
There are breeds
no.
that are way too smart. I'd really like, mostly because I just like saying the name in a stupid voice. I would like to have a Watwiwa,
What
and
Wyber?
I could Watwiwa, so I
What
could say
about a
it like Wawa
Weimawaner?
Wawa.
What about a
Oh,
Weimawaner?
Weimaraner. I don't actually.
What?
Somebody's gonna give me a letter, but I don't think Weimaraners are cute.
Yeah, they're good dogs though.
Yeah,
They're a
they are.
hunting
They're good
dog.
dogs.
Rottweilers are awesome too.
Yes, and the floofy American ones. But in order to really get a breed, I'd have to go to a breeder. And so what we're gonna do is just
Yeah.
go to a shelter and find a dog that approximates that we think, well, maybe it has a little bit of that breed in
Mm.
it, and we'll get lucky. We'll see.
I paid a great deal of money for my last Doberman.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say how much, but it was in the lowish four
Four
figures,
figures. Yeah, I would expect.
and from Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
And oh my God, this dog was so smart. It was just horrifying how smart she was. So we would get I started buying dog puzzles. Have you seen these?
Yeah, where they have to like
Treat
get the
puzzles.
treat out.
They have to
Yeah.
solve a puzzle to get the treat out.
Yep.
And she would master these puzzles so fast that they stopped being a challenge for her.
Yeah.
And I went on to Amazon trying to find something to challenge this dog. And I found this one puzzle, and there were several reviews about how hard this was. And one review in particular talked about her two dogs, and they would be exhausted by the time they finished this, that they would nap for hours. And I thought, that's the
Yeah.
one. That's the one.
20 minutes.
I I have actual live video of her solving this puzzle in 40 seconds.
I'm like, such a
40
smart
fucking
girl.
seconds.
You poor daddy.
40
Yeah.
seconds.
Oh my God. Fuck you, Amazon.
Those
Dumb
must
dog.
have been some stupid ass dogs.
Yeah, no, but wait, so what was your answer? Would you
Oh,
come back?
I would love to come back as a Doberman.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I just have to think I would probably enjoy myself so much more as a garden gnome because I could just sit there and silently judge everybody.
And you don't have to do anything.
I don't have to do anything. And the worst they can say about me is that I'm wearing funny clothes and I'm short, and I get that already.
And your
So,
paint's peeling.
yeah, all of that I
But
already
that's
get
what.
in real life. So that's
Have
nothing
you?
new.
I don't. Do other dog breeds? Have you noticed? Do they recognize others of their own breed? Because I
You're
know
asking.
Dobermans very much. They if they see another Doberman, they're like, ooh, 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 ooh. I know
Huh?
that.
That's my cousin. No, I
Yeah.
have no idea. I actually have not owned a dog. I hate that word, but I have not had a dog as
That's
part of my
probably a
family
good thing.
since I was 5 years old.
Oh.
It's been 3.5 decades and change. And I'm allergic to everybody else's dogs, but I'm also allergic to everybody else's cats. However, if I get a cat when they're kitten, I'm
And
not
you.
allergic to them. So I'm
Hmm.
hoping the same will hold true for dogs.
Hmm.
I mean, we have two cats right now,
Okay.
and I love them. They're dumb
I'm
as
I'm
bricks, and that's how I like my cats.
I'm allergic to cats, but not in a
But not
biological way.
physically, just yeah, just ideologically. I get it. I get it. I mean,
I,
the truth is like the cats are not companions. We got
no,
my ex
no cat
loves
is.
cats. He is a cat person. I mean, the one cat we had a really great cat. We didn't even call him a cat. We
Ladies,
called him a dog.
ladies, if you ever date a man who owns cats, run.
I'm not gonna argue. I'm just gonna say we had a cat who we called a cog because he was like he would come when we called. We would go and sit on the couch and say Ernie, and he would come
Hmm.
and hop up on onto the couch and snuggle up or play or whatever. And but this time we got two cats because I learned I don't when I only have one cat they want to play hunt with you and I don't like that game. So we got so we got two cats this time, and now they really just play with each other. And one of the cats, God bless the tabby, she is attached to my daughter, but I think it's Stockholm syndrome, because
For which one?
for the cat,
Okay.
because when we first got them, my daughter was like 4, and she just wanted that kitten to go with her everywhere, and so she
Mm.
just wherever she was going, she picked the cat up and took it with her. And so after a while, the tabby apparently learned, okay, this is my life now. So so even once my daughter stopped picking her up and carrying her places, the tabby was just like, I go where she goes. And then the other one, who is an orange and white, and we call him Fluffernutter, he is truly a special cat. He's really dumb, and he is attached to my ex-husband. And I'm not saying that's a commentary on anybody. It's just really sweet. And so on the nights when my ex-husband is not in the house and it's my week,
Yeah.
oh, this is so sad. His cat stands at the bottom of the stairs. We all go up to bed and all the lights go off and everything. And he stands at the foot of the stairs and goes, "Meow,
Oh,
meow,
oh my
meow."
God. Oh my
He does
word.
not do this on the nights when my ex is there and I'm not. He does this because he's like, "Where's Daddy?"
Oh wow.
Yes. So like there are some, endearing things about cats, but then there's also the fact that, they attack your toes in the middle of the night. My in-laws had the worst cat I've ever met. They had a Russian blue named Annie, and Annie would hide under the couch so that she could attack your heels, and she would hide next to the stairs coming so that as you came up the stairs, once your head was level with the landing, she would rush you and attack your head. She was horrible. She was
So
so horrible. I was terrified. Or she would she would get under a little tiny, like a little a rug, like a 2x3 rug. She would find her way under it and stay there like you couldn't see her, the lump under the rug, and wait for you to pass by. And as you walked around the lump, she would dart out from under the rug and
oh my
attack your
word.
feet and bite and scratch. Like not even like play attack, like trying to hurt you.
So are you familiar with the Japanese dog breed Shiba Inu?
Yes, I would
They're
love to be
they're
near a Shiba.
they're a great dog. They're really great. They're very
They're
quiet.
supposed to be wonderful family dogs. Yeah, they're
The
the
one
barkless dogs, right?
well, they can bark. I mean, there's a breed that can't bark, but
Right. It's
Shibas
another interesting
don't
name.
bark.
Okay.
But they will
Huh.
scream bloody murder when you get their nails done. It's a known thing. Every place that you go to have their nails done, they just know that oh, it's a Shiba.
Oh, it's gonna just
And
scream, huh?
yeah, it sounds like you're torturing a bag of cats and beating them with a bat. Um,
Why do you know what that sounds like?
I read about it. So my oldest daughter has one of these dogs, and her name's
Yeah.
Alice, and she's adorable. She's a retired champion,
Uh-huh.
and one of her weird things, which there's quite a long list, um, was that, I haven't seen her do it in a while, but she loved to go up to men who are wearing shorts and use her tiny little teeth and pull their leg hairs out. Just I
You
have
got a
no
bug on
idea
you.
why.
You got a bug on you. You got a
Yeah.
bug on you.
What the hell is that all about?
Oh
Nobody
my
knows.
gosh.
Just a weird thing.
She's a reincarnated esthetician who used to do bikini waxing.
I guess something like that.
That's what I want to not be reincarnated as, is a bikini waxer. Stick guard gnome over that any day.
I might. No, never mind.
Pervert.
That would mean being a
Oh.
female, and I wouldn't want that.
Well, I just don't think that job is as sexy as
It's
you think it is
I'm
when you
sure.
don't get to
I'm.
pick your clientele.
They are. It's like the theoretical concept of a nudist beach or a nudist colony versus
Yeah.
the reality.
You realize all the people,
It's not the people you want to see.
no, most of the people who are comfortable enough to go to a nudist beach, it's because they're like 60 years old and they don't give a fuck anymore.
Right. Or, yeah. Yeah. There's
Yeah.
like, no, no, sorry. It's not all Elizabeth Hurley's out there.
Oh no. When we lived in Germany, there were nude beaches and a very, sort of free attitude toward occasionally taking
Mm-hmm.
your top off. But most of the time, it was
Mm.
it was the people that it was like, oh no,
Don't stop it. Why are you doing that?
the sun should not be exposed to such things. Not to mention children. All right, you know what?
It's holiday time.
Yeah, I gotta go home and wrap some fucking presents. First, I have to find them all.
Is it okay to just give them in the Amazon boxes? Is that acceptable? Or just wrap the
It
Amazon
depends
box.
on who you
Oh,
ask, but
oh crap! I don't know I got the stack of Amazon boxes in my living room, and I don't know which box goes to whom. So I have to open them up.
you have to open them. I mean, sometimes they occasionally package two things in one box too.
Yeah,
That happens.
yeah, that could happen. But it was really handy for my daughter and her boyfriend this year because they're in a different state, and they had a kind of a shared wish list, and I just grabbed stuff and I said, you guys sort out who gets what.
Yeah, I'll just send it all to your place.
It all goes to your place, and I said, you guys decide who gets it.
And if you feel better wrapping it, go ahead.
Yeah. No, they wouldn't do that. I have the least sentimental daughters in the world. It's kind of beautiful.
You can't take credit for that though.
No, I really can't because it was my mother and my siblings who totally wrecked that for them.
Yeah, sure. They were like, okay. There's some things you just can't be sentimental over because they're unhealthy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me go and get lost in some wrapping paper, man.
Have fun with that so much, and
I'll put a bow on my head for you.
Well, okay. If it's got to be your head, then that's fine.
My children would ask why if I put them on my nipples. So, yeah. We're going to go with my head.
Sounds good. Or ears, and then you could be like Leah.
I'll do Princess Leia bun bows.
There you go. There you go.
Pictures or it didn't happen. All right.
Okay.
Talk to you later.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.